When you hear something like this, you feel bad because he accepted accountability for it.
The NBA world woke up to chaos when Paul George got hit with a 25-game suspension for violating the league's anti-drug program, and the headlines exploded instantly. A 9-time All-Star, one of the smoothest two-way players of his era, suddenly sidelined without pay. The league's announcement landed on January 31st, 2026, and it felt like a shockwave ripping through the season. Let's be clear, though. Claims about the FBI, mafia families, or George arresting coaches and players are not supported by any official reports. The NBA's public statement focused strictly on a violation of the jointly agreed anti-drug policy between the league and the Players Association. No dramatic crime ring, no secret takedown, no hidden sting operation confirmed by authorities. Just a suspension tied to the league's program, and that alone was big enough.
Paul George also released a statement about it, saying, "Over the past few years, I've discussed the importance of mental health, and in the course of recently seeking treatment for an issue of my own, I made the mistake of taking an improper medication. I take full responsibility for my actions and apologize to the Sixers organization, my teammates, and the Philly fans for my poor decision making during this process. I am focused on using this time to make sure that my mind and body are in the best condition to help the team when I return."
You're a Sixer fan, you've been disappointed. He didn't play too many games last year. Now he's going to miss games, an inordinate amount of games already. This is after having left knee surgery in off-season and missing games at the start of this season.
George was set to earn over $51 million this season. Now he's missing 25 games without pay, eligible to return late in the regular season, leaving the Philadelphia 76ers fighting to hold playoff positioning without one of their biggest stars. No build-up, no leaks, no insider hints. Just a cold, short statement from the NBA that set social media on fire. What made this situation shift direction fast was George's response. Within hours, he addressed the situation publicly through ESPN insider Shams Charania. Instead of denial or deflection, he pointed toward mental health. That changed the tone of the entire story. This isn't new territory for him. Back in 2020, during the bubble season, George openly discussed anxiety and the pressure that came with isolation and national scrutiny. In 2022, he partnered with BetterHelp and pledged up to $3 million in free therapy services. He even wrote an op-ed in USA Today admitting he once felt invincible before realizing he needed professional support. Now the league waits. Fans argue, analysts debate. Some question the timing, others focus on accountability, and many are watching closely to see how this affects both his career and the Sixers' playoff push. One thing is certain, though, this suspension just added serious tension to an already dramatic NBA season. When Paul George said this suspension was connected to mental health treatment, that wasn't some random excuse thrown together overnight. This is a guy who has been publicly speaking about anxiety, therapy, and pressure since the 2020 bubble days. He's put real money behind it. He's partnered with therapy platforms. He's written about it openly. That history matters. Under the NBA's anti-drug policy, which operates through the collective bargaining agreement between the league and the Players Association, a 25-game suspension usually signals a first-time violation for certain prohibited substances. It is not marijuana. That was removed from testing under the 2023 CBA. It is also not a repeat violation because those escalate hard. A second offense can mean 55 games. A third can mean a lifetime ban. This 25-game hit lands in that first-tier category, and that's important context.
What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing.
Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses.
League experts who study these rules often point out that situations like this can involve therapeutic medications. Sometimes it is an antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, or ADHD-related treatment that contains a banned component under league guidelines. Players can apply for what is called a therapeutic use exemption if they declare the medication in advance. If that paperwork step does not happen, even a legitimate prescription can trigger discipline. One administrative mistake can turn into a career-shaking headline. Financially, this was brutal. George forfeited around $11.7 million. That is roughly $469,000 per game from the second year of his massive 4-year contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. That kind of money disappearing overnight hits hard, even at superstar level. But here is the twist that flipped the business side of this story. ESPN analyst Bobby Marks explained that the suspension actually created over $5 million in luxury tax relief for the Sixers. That brought them close to the tax threshold, potentially giving them more flexibility at the trade deadline. From a cold front office perspective, that matters a lot. On the court, the impact is real, but not fatal. The Sixers were competitive with and without him. George was averaging around 16 points, 5 rebounds, and close to 4 assists, shooting over 38% from 3. His spacing next to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey helped the offense breathe. Without him, lanes tighten and defenses collapse faster. That changes everything. On First Take, Stephen A. Smith pointed out the obvious concern about availability, but he also admitted there could be a hidden upside. If George stays locked in, keeps his conditioning sharp, and returns fresh for the final stretch, that forced rest could turn into a playoff weapon. In a wide-open Eastern Conference, one healthy, motivated star can shift the entire bracket. And here is where the bigger picture comes in. This suspension did not just land in a vacuum. It hit at a time when the league was already under scrutiny over integrity questions swirling around other issues. The timing made it feel even heavier. Not just a player suspension, but another storm cloud hanging over the NBA brand at the worst possible moment. Just weeks before Paul George's suspension grabbed headlines, federal authorities had already shaken the sports world with a massive gambling investigation. The FBI held a press conference in New York announcing coordinated arrests across multiple states tied to alleged sports betting fraud. Officials described it as one of the largest coordinated enforcement actions connected to professional basketball integrity in recent memory. Authorities said more than 30 individuals were arrested in a sweep spanning several states. Among those named in court filings were high-profile basketball figures, including Chauncey Billups, who was serving as head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and Terry Rozier, then a guard for the Miami Heat. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones was also referenced in connection with related allegations. All individuals are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. According to prosecutors, one branch of the investigation centered on an alleged insider sports betting scheme. The accusation was that non-public NBA information, such as injury details, lineup decisions, and minute restrictions, was shared before becoming public. That information was allegedly used to place prop bets, including wagers on players finishing under projected statistics. If proven, that type of conduct would directly undermine competitive fairness.
Terry Rozier played up until just under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Here he is making a drive. No hobbling, no grabbing, nothing that looks to seem odd or out of the unusual. With an injury, he's running up and down the court, seems to be just fine. We can see him here sitting on the bench after he's come out of the game. This is with about 2:12 left in the first quarter. And you'd think if there was some foot soreness, maybe you'd be seeking medical help. You'd be having your athletic trainers evaluate you, looking at things, rubbing on your foot. No, Rozier just sits here seemingly carefree, not making any motion whatsoever towards his foot. Next possession down the court, 1:40 left in the game. Still Rozier sitting there comfortably, not making any motion to his supposedly sore and uncomfortable foot. A situation like this, where you have an athlete who's telling you that they have pain and they feel like they can't go, the medical staff has no choice but to believe what they're saying and remove them from the game.
The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam.
Court filings described a specific March 2023 game involving Rozier, where associates allegedly placed significant underbets prior to tip-off. Prosecutors claim wagers were made based on advance knowledge that he would play limited minutes. In the game, Rozier exited early, citing discomfort, and did not return. Investigators later reviewed footage and medical details as part of the case. However, it is important to understand that pain and physical discomfort cannot always be objectively measured. Medical imaging does not always show visible damage even when an athlete feels real symptoms. That gray area is part of what investigators say could be exploited in betting manipulation schemes. Another portion of the investigation allegedly involved leaked information about star players, including LeBron James and Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. Prosecutors claim confidential knowledge about player availability or minute restrictions may have been used to guide large wagers before sportsbooks adjusted their lines. In one instance, filings referenced a six-figure bet tied to injury-related limitations. The broader concern here is integrity. Professional sports depend on uncertainty. Fans watch because they believe the outcome is earned on the court. When federal authorities step in with allegations involving insider information and coordinated betting, it sends shockwaves through the entire league. Whether convictions ultimately follow or not, the optics alone create tension. And that is why timing matters. When a gambling investigation of this magnitude is unfolding publicly, any separate suspension or disciplinary move in the league suddenly feels heavier. Not necessarily connected, but landing in the same storm cloud of scrutiny. That combination is what made this stretch one of the most dramatic chapters the NBA has faced in years. That particular bet actually lost, and the people who placed it didn't just shrug it off. They allegedly went straight back to Damon Jones demanding their money, furious that the inside info didn't cash like it was supposed to. But that betting scheme was only half of the storm. The second investigation, called Operation Royal Flush, was on a completely different level. This part moved beyond sports books and into underground high-stakes poker rooms that prosecutors say were built like something out of a tech thriller. Authorities described altered shuffling machines capable of identifying cards and transmitting data in real time. There were allegations of hidden cameras placed inside light fixtures and chip trays, and even claims of specialized lenses and equipment designed to detect marked decks. If proven in court, this wasn't casual cheating. This was structured, coordinated, and highly sophisticated. According to federal filings, prominent basketball figures were allegedly used as recognizable faces to attract wealthy participants into these private games. Prosecutors claim the presence of a finals MVP like Chauncey Billups created an atmosphere of legitimacy and exclusivity. Victims reportedly believed they were sitting in elite company, part of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Instead, investigators allege the environment was manipulated from the inside.
There was this game. It started in LA and then it came to Vegas for a few days, and it was all built around Chauncey Billups. And I had heard about the game, and the person who told me about it was like, "Look, I know the game runners. I'm telling you 100% this game is on the up and up."
The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games, about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers.
Court documents stated that total losses across victims exceeded $7 million, with one individual allegedly losing nearly $1.8 million in a single session. Prosecutors further claimed that multiple organized crime groups were involved in logistical and operational roles. While authorities referenced collaboration among major New York crime families, all such claims remain part of ongoing legal proceedings and have not resulted in convictions. It is crucial to remember that every defendant is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. Poker professional Matt Berkey discussed the allegations publicly on episode 277 of the Only Friends podcast in August 2023. After the arrests were announced, clips resurfaced online and gained massive traction. According to Berkey, individuals he knew had participated in similar games and suspected irregularities, though at the time there was no formal resolution. Once the federal press conference occurred, those earlier conversations suddenly looked much more serious. During that same press conference, a slip of the tongue from a U.S. attorney referencing the Toronto Rangers instead of the Raptors went viral instantly. Social media exploded. In the middle of one of the most intense sports scandals in years, that small mistake somehow became its own trending topic. That's how chaotic this moment became. Now to the legal aftermath. Terry Rozier pleaded not guilty and was released on $3 million bond, secured by property. His passport was surrendered, and he faces restrictions including a gambling ban and no contact with co-defendants. His legal team has argued that his alleged role does not meet the threshold for conspiracy charges. Chauncey Billups also pleaded not guilty and posted a $5 million bond. The Portland Trail Blazers suspended him and named Tiago Splitter as interim head coach. Meanwhile, Damon Jones entered a not guilty plea as well, released on bond with similar restrictions. If convicted on federal conspiracy charges, defendants could face severe penalties, but again, no verdicts have been reached. Then came another shock. On February 2nd, 2026, an independent arbitrator ruled in favor of Rozier in a salary dispute with the Miami Heat and the NBA. When he was placed on leave after arrest, his $26.6 million salary had been put into escrow. The National Basketball Players Association challenged that move, arguing the collective bargaining agreement only allows unpaid leave in specific cases such as domestic violence or child abuse. Federal gambling charges were not explicitly listed. The arbitrator agreed with the union's interpretation, ordering the full salary released. That ruling sent a powerful message across the league. If a player can receive full pay while awaiting trial on serious federal charges, it forces the NBA to reconsider how it structures discipline in future cases. The legal battles are far from over. The criminal cases are still unfolding. And the precedent set here could reshape how the league handles integrity issues for years to come. Billups, by contrast, does not have the same union shield that protects players. As a head coach, he falls under a different contract structure. If team discipline stands and the case drags out, he risks losing his entire $7 million salary with very limited pathways to recover it. That reality alone shows how differently the system treats coaches versus players.
Body that's at play. And I don't like to sit up here and be hypocritical about certain things. I'm a homeboy gambler, Ernie. Bet it. We've been on teams. We played cards. We played spades. We played tonk. But with that being said, every year they would give us forums on what and what not to do. One of those things where if somebody asks you if a certain player is playing, you say no. So all these guys knew what was at stake, and I'm just ashamed that they put themselves and put their family and put the NBA in this position.
Man, this ain't got nothing to do with damn gambling addiction. This ain't got nothing to do with addiction. These dudes are stupid. Why are they stupid? Under no circumstances can you fix basketball games. Under no circumstances. I love to gamble. The notion, Rozier makes $26 million. Him betting, giving people information or taking himself out of games, how much is he gonna benefit taking himself out the game to get unders? He's making $26 million.
When I woke up this morning and saw Chauncey Billups' name, I would not have guessed Chauncey Billups. He was always one of the smarter, headier, more professional guys.
Inside the NBA media world, reactions were intense and split. On Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley looked genuinely frustrated. He did not dance around it. He questioned judgment, accountability, and how people at that level could put everything on the line. You could see it on his face. This wasn't just commentary, it was personal disappointment. Kenny Smith tried to bring nuance. He pointed out that gambling addiction can cloud logic. Money does not make someone immune to bad decisions. Fame does not protect you from risk-taking behavior. His argument was about human weakness more than criminal intent, but Barkley wasn't buying that angle in that moment. He shut it down fast. Meanwhile, Colin Cowherd zoomed out historically on his show. He reminded viewers that gambling scandals in sports are not new. He referenced Tim Donaghy and the referee betting scandal, pointed back to Henry Hill and the Lucchese family's Boston College point-shaving case, and even talked about corruption stories surrounding college basketball programs in Las Vegas decades ago. His message was simple. Don't act shocked that this can happen. It has happened before. What matters is uncovering it and protecting the game going forward. But even Cowherd admitted certain names in this case surprised him. That's the part that stings. When respected figures get tied into federal investigations, it shakes confidence deeper than anonymous operatives ever could. Now step back and look at the full picture the NBA is managing right now. Paul George is serving a 25-game suspension related to a drug policy violation he says was tied to mental health medication. That is a personal compliance issue with no public evidence linking it to the gambling case. At the same time, Terry Rozier faces federal conspiracy charges tied to alleged betting misconduct. Chauncey Billups is fighting allegations connected to underground poker operations. Damon Jones has been referenced across multiple parts of the federal filings, and the FBI has stated publicly that the investigation remains ongoing. That means this story is not finished. The next major court date for the defendants is set for March 4th, 2026, with a potential trial timeline later in the year. On top of that, congressional committees have requested briefings on league betting policies. The NBA has already circulated updated memos to teams about injury reporting and compliance safeguards. Commissioner Adam Silver addressed the situation publicly, acknowledging the seriousness of the moment and promising stronger integrity protections moving forward. This is bigger than one suspension, bigger than one investigation. The league is navigating player discipline, federal criminal cases, financial precedent, public trust, and government oversight all at once. And until the court process plays out, every headline still carries an asterisk of uncertainty.